Ruslan. Siwr wel, dwi'n sydd yn eithaf. Tara, dwi'n fi bod sy'n eithaf.
I haven't really thought about it so much, but there are so many signs, traces somewhere to be found, which I'm not sure if I ever saw them. And then there is the sunlight, the shadows. And for what I assume to be true is that this is also changing over time. So there are signs and traces that come with the rain, with the weather, with moss building on. And then there are some traces that are made by humans, like willfully, intentionally. Some traces are just there because that's how the parking of the bike or the cars happen to have an impact on walls, floors. I'm not so sure if this is really important, but then comparing it with the traces that are already there, or in that sense, images, willful expressions, architectural designs, lines, colors and shapes, even pictures depicting human beings. There are traces everywhere. There are shadows interacting with these. Then there are those traces temporarily built, just for a period of maybe 2 months, 2 years, or even just 2 weeks. There are signposts, there are signatures, like graffiti and tags. So maybe this gets removed quickly. Maybe it stays and interacts with its surroundings. How do we differentiate between different structures? How do they interact and affect us more or less? Of course, material structures have a bigger effect. They can be invasive, created to hold, to be a vessel, to have levels, to walk in it, to host warmth, remove excess warmth, keep cool or warmth inside, outside. And then there are windows, which are obviously giving us this idea of the outside, the outdoors, an interaction, possibly through an opening of windows. Although nowadays buildings are created more cost or energy efficient. Windows are merely there to look out rather than to be used. Similarly, maybe like in a ship where there is really nothing to do below, to see the water sprinkling or splashing onto the water or onto the window facade. The window is not there to be opened. It's there to shield off. Then there are the traces outdoors. Pedestrians notice rarely anything. Maybe like I do. Just going to work, going to do some errands. But then they change. People come and take some pride in changing certain things. Maybe acts of rebellion. Maybe just sheer expression. The traces of the nature, so-called. Slightly different than we imagine it should behave. Of course, there's the autumn leaves everywhere, the withering, the cleaning of the leaves, the creation of cleanliness, the idea of what's there, what shouldn't be there, differentiations of values. What ought to be dirty, seen as not very useful, a hindrance even. Not so sure. I'm not sure what it actually means. But I know that cultures, countries have different ideas, capacities, and interest in topics of certain ways of cleanliness. Maybe that some things are more clean in certain areas. But then what exactly is being cleaned? What is taken away? What is left? And who basically decides? Who says this is good? says this is good, this needs to go. I remember there were bushes in the bicycle lane in summer, very dangerous with thorns. On the left, always cars, trucks. But then what could you do? Basically, just waiting for someone to take it away. Because obviously it's not very good to always have to overcome a hindrance if you're already a weak, vulnerable position making its way in this kind of rough traffic area. How vulnerable the bikers. How very vulnerable. The trucks and the bikes. How is it possible? They are the same, in the same area. Almost the most vulnerable and the least vulnerable. The strongest and maybe the weakest meeting. Then there are of course ships, but there's no overlapping there. Cranes, trains. The water shows itself in its most beautiful iteration as a shadow, sprinkle, as a reflection. The trucks have to wait in line. Not so sure if this is really what they thought they're going to do throughout their life. Maybe they had different ideas. Waiting is part of the job description. Starting the engine, driving forward. This is it. This is the border crossing. Every time I drive through here, I never walk. I drive. I feel so vulnerable. I try to not drive here in the night. As it says, it's allowed to cross the border on daytime. So does it make me even more vulnerable if I cross it in the evening or even the night? Would that expose me to border control, lingering shadows? Does it make me suspicious?